Now you got to wake up.
All right, I'm up.
Wake
I'm up.
up.
Here we go. Let's talk. Let's get into it.
Hey, let's get right into it. Hey, so I got a statistic here. A statistic. I can't even talk. ESL.
That word trips me up too.
Statistic. Veterans related. Well, first off, why don't you tell everybody a little bit, or remind everybody a little bit about who you are?
So my name is Omar Pineda. I'm a realtor with eXp Realty.
What?
I service the Austin area. And if you're looking to move here or buy a house here or sell a house here, just hit up your boy. And I love working with veterans.
Helping veterans.
I'm a Marine veteran myself. I get where you guys are coming from. And, one thing that I always like to stress is like, hey, just reach out and touch someone. If you get it, you get it. I'm here to help, in any way I can. And it doesn't have to be house related. If you just need help being directed to like a veteran service, right? Because I've gone through the ringer of trying to figure out that whole system. And I've networked with a lot of people that are in those positions. So it's like, I'm just here to be a resource so I can at least point you in the right direction. It doesn't have to be a house. So hit me up.
Right. I'm so glad you made that point. Got a little serious there, but yeah.
It's hard. There's so much stuff out there for us. And if you don't know how to navigate it or ask questions, and I know a lot of us are like that. I know I was like that for a while. Like, just, hey, leave me alone. You don't get the help you need, and then you just kind of isolate yourself, and it's just not healthy, and it takes a while for you to kind of realize that.
Yeah, it's not normal. We used to think it was normal, but that's another. Yeah. Actually, that's another episode, another podcast.
Yeah,
but
meant to help.
But let's talk about this. I mean, right along the same lines. Let's talk about the statistic, which I saw today, and it's right out of the VA website. 18% of veterans are using their VA home loan benefits.
Wow. That 18%?
18. More than 80%. Am I doing the math right?
That's shocking, but it makes somewhat sense because, I mean, I know the VA, you're trying your hardest, but they are the worst when it comes to marketing and just trying to get the word out there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't really post it on your website and expect people to see it, right?
Well, especially the veterans' websites, they're like amazed.
Yeah, it's a freaking labyrinth of trying to figure out how to get to stuff. And it's like, but this is information that needs to get out there. And that's what we're trying to do here. I mean, you read that, and now we're talking about it. That's a crazy low statistic that, I mean, we all rate it. Yeah. I mean, if you served honorably and you meet the parameters, you did your time in service and all that, you definitely rate it, and it's probably one of the best products out there. So it's like,
oh, absolutely, not probably. It is 100% the best loan product out there. Now, you have to serve 90 days in wartime active duty. That's it to rate your VA home loan benefit.
I thought it was 180. Is it 90?
That's peacetime. But we've been in wartime since Operation Desert Storm, actually, Desert Shield. Mm-hmm. So we've been in wartime, and so 90 days of active duty. That's all that is needed. Obviously, a lot of veterans, they do their 3-year, 4-year, 5-year, 8-year contract, but
if you serve active, you're fine either way. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about it. It's only like, I guess, the reserves is that you just have to play that waiting game, because I know that kind of with time and how that works out. But I think even National Guard, because if you're doing part-time military, you have to figure out how that timeline works.
It's drill points. It's based on a drill point system.
Okay.
But it's very easy to
So I guess a good question is to ask, why do we think it's that low? I know we were talking about it earlier, and we were kind of just trying to brainstorm like what, and this is what we were talking about when we were talking about this earlier, trying to figure out like, why is that statistic so low? And I know, having served myself, that we are trained to be very self-reliant, especially if you weren't during wartime, to be self-reliant, to suffer in silence, and
that's a big one,
and to figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
Right.
And hold on. If you ask for help, you're an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is kind of counterintuitive, but hey, that's kind of like how it worked initially, and we just carry that on with us into the civilian world. And if we're trying or even attempt to kind of figure it out and we just run into a roadblock, I know we give up kind of a little too easily, right?
Right.
And especially if it's something that we know, like, hey, if it's too, go ahead.
Well, no, I'm sorry to interrupt. No, well, it's not that we give up, but we get misguided. So we go to
that's a better word,
the professional, we go to the lender, we go to the realtor. Hey, realtor, I do like this house, and I'm a veteran. How do I qualify, or what do I do? So you have some agents that aren't very familiar with it.
And I know you have a personal story for that, right? I know. I remember you saying in the very, very beginning when you were kind of on this journey, you asked about that.
Absolutely.
And then what happened?
It cost me hundreds of thousands. And let me tell you how. I got out 2004. I got out, right? And I got my 2-hour orientation to.
That's terrible. That's terrible. You gotta do better.
Get out. So, hey, good job. Hey, pat on the back. And here you go. Here's your pamphlets on the VA home loans. Here's your pamphlet on what to expect as a civilian. Here's your pamphlet on, I don't know, just food. I don't even know what the pamphlets were. 2-hour orientation, and that's it. I'm on my way. I ended up back at my mom's house. Imagine that, serving all this time, doing all this stuff in the Marine Corps. And then here I am.
So rushed.
Back at home. Like, I mean,
you're going from fully independent. Yeah. Like you're trekking along in life, and then now you feel like you're taking two steps back.
Yeah. So I got a job, and then I go, all right, I can move out. I was all pumped. I could move out. So I applied for a home loan, and I went to Bank of America because that's what I knew. That's where I banked. All right, Bank of America. Okay, yeah, your credit is okay, but you will need $25,000 down. And this was $170,000 condo in San Jose.
And 25,000. What's like percentage wise?
Yeah, 20%. They wanted like almost 20% plus closing costs and all that.
But to be fair, did they know you're a veteran at that point? Or
yes,
no?
Yes. It's a VA loan. So they didn't even go with the VA loan. It was just a regular. But I didn't know this at the time. So feeling discouraged, I went back, obviously back home. I'm like, well, I have my VA loan, but it's worthless. Forget the VA loan. I was going to say another word, but forget the VA loan. And I moved in with a couple of buddies, and it was a household of a bunch of cops and another Marine, and it was fun, but it was a waste. Now, 2006, I got in the industry by accident, of course, and I quickly within 6 months, I learned the ropes, and I go, wait a minute, I could qualify using my VA home loan. So I did the loan myself. Well, my buddy at this mortgage broker helped me because I couldn't do my own loan, obviously. And I could qualify. Now, that same condo was $275,000. So it didn't make sense at the time. And I ended up waiting. I ended up waiting till like 2007 and bought an actual house. And at that point, I didn't even use my VA.
Even that time?
No, because I had the NINA, the no income, no assets, stated income, all that nonsense. So, I didn't even use it. But should I have used it initially in 2004, as soon as I had that job? I would have been in a very good place.
Do you think back then, I guess, big banks like that they weren't incentivized to put out those kind of loan products, or what do you think that was? Like, do they get compensated differently between like FHA, VA, and any of the other government kind of backed loans?
Well, you fear that you don't understand, so you kind of shy away from it because the VA loan it's a complex loan. You have to understand it. You have to know all the intricacies, and over the years, you develop that. I mean, having done them so much now, they're easy. But like for me, me and my team, we do those
That's
in
all
our
you
sleep.
do, right? That's your main focus. That's how you're
That's
getting.
a main
So,
focus,
yeah,
but that's not all we do. We also do FHA and conventional and jumbo and all that other non-QM stuff. Yeah,
I got
all
you.
the, but we've done a lot of VA loans. We've completed a lot of VA loans, helped a lot of veterans, and it's easy for us. But again, it goes back to
I like the two words you
knowledge.
used, right? Discouraged and misguided. I think that
Yeah.
really hits the nail on the head on why that number's so low. Is that depending on who your very first interaction with when you're talking about this, and you
Mm-hmm.
get discouraged, then you're just gonna put it off,
Yeah.
right? Or if you get misguided and then you feel like you were taken advantage of in some way, then you're gonna probably put it off, right? You're gonna keep putting it
Right.
off.
Well, I was misguided, and my anger, or not anger, my frustration
Mm.
was directed to the VA. Oh, what the heck is this? Like this program sucks. It's not real.
Mm-hmm.
What is the VA talking about? Well, the VA is actually, I mean, there's an amazing program that is out there, but again, the education is not there, and the banks aren't really, they don't really care too much about that. They say they do, but they don't.
I feel like it's one of those things that the information is out there and exists. It's just up to that person to find it.
Right.
But how do you find it amongst all the other noise,
Oh,
right?
a ton
It's
of noise.
really hard. And I think that's what you and I are really trying to do here with this podcast and like all the content we do is we're trying to really present all this in a form that hopefully reaches you, my fellow veterans, because we want to help you attain home ownership and to actually use your VA loan that you rate 100%, you know?
That's
And,
right.
it's as simple as that.
Yeah, veterans earned it. It's not it's not a give me. It's not, no, you
And
earned
it's,
it. You signed on that line, which was dotted with, payable with and up to your life. So this is your benefit, and you got to use
and
it.
they're not exaggerating when they say it's like a true, like zero cost,
It is.
like product, right?
Yeah.
I kind of thought I had this misconception when I first got into real estate that the funding fee, right? There's a fee to it, right? But you can opt to roll that into the loan itself too, right?
Right.
So that's where like the true zero cost money down part comes into play, right?
Right.
Okay, did I explain that right?
No, yeah, yeah, more or less. So that you did, but then there's a little bit more.
Okay.
Remember, if you're service connected disabled, that funding fee is waived.
Oh,
Yeah.
like what kind of like how much percentage are we talking about here?
I've seen it at 30%.
Okay.
So usually what I do is I log into the VA portal. I have credentials to look up the certificate of eligibilities for veterans, and I can tell.
So on that certificate, it'll say a
it'll
disability
say
rating.
exempt. Well,
Oh.
it'll just tell me if it's exempt
Oh, that makes sense.
for the
Yeah.
funding fee.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so yeah, it's amazing.
Dang. Okay. I always was curious about what that threshold was like, so you wouldn't have to pay for that. Because I knew the disability part, I just didn't know what the actual number was. But okay, 30%.
I've seen it at 30%. I haven't seen it less than
Does
that.
would that change like year to year, or is that something
No.
you need to keep up with? No. Okay.
No, 30% is where I've seen it. I've never encountered a veteran that has a 10% and
That's fair. I guess. I mean, they have to pick a number, right? And 10% would be way too many people, right? So I can see that 30% is pretty good, like I guess threshold.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll get back to you on that just to make sure,
Yeah.
because we've done so many and my team handles it. So I'm not 100% certain. I know 30% for a fact. That was very recent. I saw one and it was exempt.
Mm. So, man, that number just keeps ringing in my head, right? 18%.
18.
That is terrible. Terrible. We
That
got to do
is.
better. We got to do better. And we're going to, man, I hope this reaches the right people because if you're a veteran and you know that the VA loan, like you could use it, you just for whatever reason had just never looked into it, or maybe you got discouraged along the way, reach out to somebody because somebody like within the veteran community, right? Because there's more veteran realtors like me, more veteran lenders like you that are out there that we want to help
Yes.
our community, right? And we understand not just the VA loan process, but we understand like, hey, what we went through, right? Especially, I know I instant like any job I worked post Marine Corps, right? Anytime we have that common denominator of like we serve together, especially the Marine Corps, that's like such a easy thing just to get along with. And it's really, it's funny how much. I mean, you only kind of it becomes more clear the longer you're out, right? But man, when I'm with civilians as opposed to like all my veteran brothers, like it's such a different vibe, such a different feeling. And I didn't know I was gonna be like that. I thought I'd be the same. Like, cause I'm like, hey, you know, I've already, I mean, I got out since I've been out since 2009, right? So I've been out for a while, but I have noticed that about myself. Like, man, I don't. Maybe it's like a subconscious thing. Like, man, I just feel like my guard's a little bit more down easier if I know they're veterans.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's funny to me, but it's true.
It's the familiarity
Effect. That sounds about right.
Familiarity.
I bet you something like that.
ESL. Yeah. I can't say that word.
Familiar.
Arity.
Yeah, familiarity. Say that 5 times fast. Yeah. No.
So yeah, you just feel that bond because it's familiar. It's somebody that you went through some good stuff together, and yeah, it feels right. So it doesn't even feel like work when I'm helping out my fellow veterans.
Yeah,
it's like
that's a win.
Whatever.
That's a
Cool.
win.
Let's do it. This is what you're gonna do. This is step 1, step 2, step 3. You understand me? Aye, sir.
There's so many benefits that we like have after we get out that we just never hear of. Like, I know I told you about this earlier, but the USAA thing, remember that?
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
USAA.
So if you did not know this, I just learned about it the other day, and I've been out since 2009, right? If you're a USAA member, they have this program where you pay a monthly membership. I think it's $25, and they've partnered up with 5,000 some odd gyms across the U.S., and you have access to all of them with just that one payment. USAA, and that's free if you're a USAA member. I didn't know that this whole time, right?
Yeah, you just told me about it.
So that's just an example of like so many other things that you just, again, unless you are paying attention or you look for that information, like, and I've been on USA multiple times, checking my balance. I've never seen that pop up ever, but maybe I'm not paying attention either. But hey, that's what we're here to do, is kind of just talk about these kinds of things, because these are benefits that you rate, that you earned, and you deserve, and you should not, and you should 100% not just use it once, but if I had it my way, once we have a nice conversation, and you could use this multiple times, right?
Yeah.
This really could be like your vehicle to creating some cool legacy stuff, right?
Oh, legacy wealth, absolutely. Yeah. Again, that 18% number still gets me.
We should make it our mission to keep doing podcasts like this, even if we're talking about the same stuff, right? Because it's very hard to capture people's attention, right? It's a very noisy world out there. And we're going to do our best to market the heck out of this. That's part of my specialty, is I've not only do real estate, but I love and obsessed about digital marketing and how video stuff works. And, doing this podcast and doing video content in general, that's how we get our message across. That's how we educate and provide education for what we do, so we can get people knowledge, right? Because half the game is just knowing the process, right? And just making the unknown a little bit more clear. And then that's going to give people a little bit more confidence, a little bit more just feel safe that what they're doing is right and they're not getting ripped off in any way. And I think we're going to probably see that number change. So I'm going to try to make that a promise right now. We're going to do more content like this, right?
I love
Talking
it.
about the VA loan, and just and not give up. Because one thing is, it's very discouraging to do a couple videos and then not get that much, engagement or traction. But I'm making that promise, and Luis, I hope you'll make it with me, that we're going to keep doing this
100%.
And we're not going to give up until we change that number. And even if what day is today? It's February 16th. So this will be a fun video to watch again, February 16th of next year, to see if that number changed a little bit.
Hey, actually, I made a friend at the VA.
Okay.
We do a little, he's a Marine too, so we do a little trash talking back and forth. I can't mention his name, but I call him, I got his direct number, and he actually helped me tremendously process via the condo VA condo cert, which is a little challenging to do. But let me tell you, we got it done. He actually showed me how to do it line by line. Like, hey, and again, another Marine. Hey, you understand, Marine, how this is done? You blah blah blah. I'm like, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dang, you went Marine on me.
I
like
went,
that, huh?
yeah, you went Marine on me,
Yeah.
and yeah, I completed that package, and we got this condo cert, or this condo approved relatively fast.
Yeah, I don't know too much, but I've heard it's just a lot more nuances than like a
Tedious.
single family house, right? To do like the whole condo
Y-
thing, huh?
Yeah, but it's possible. You just got to follow
Yeah.
directions. But see, now I have a contact there, and I can ask him to get me specific numbers on that. We'll see if he'll do it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
public knowledge.
Yeah.
So
That's just that's despicable. You know, we can do better, and we are going to do better at making that number higher. Because man, if 100% people rate it, right? If you did all the right things, and only 18% of us are using
yeah,
it,
and then here in Texas, that's not the benefit here with the property tax, especially if you're 100% disabled.
oh yeah, I
You pay
forgot
no
about that.
no property taxes.
Yeah,
So you got a $500,000 home. What are you paying with?
but that's only if like you're 100%
Yeah,
disabled, right? With
but
the no property tax thing.
right, but it
Okay.
is tiered.
Oh,
There
they
are
have
tiers.
tier. Okay.
70. What is it? 70 to 100. There is another tier
Okay.
where you get exceptions, and that's very dependent on the county. Like Williamson County,
Mm.
and Travis, they have somewhat different exemptions.
Okay.
So you have to call each county on the particular property, because then it also depends on the school district,
Mm.
because some school districts will offer a higher exemption. So let's just say
So
you have 70% service connected disability. Well, X district will offer a 100,000 or 200,000 exemption, but the other district is only going to offer 50,000. So
it's very hyper local. That.
it's very high. Yeah, exactly. You
Okay.
couldn't have said it better.
Gotcha. I didn't know that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So there's a little bit more to that, but again, $500,000 home, you're looking at what, 25. I mean, you're almost looking at what the rent would be.
Yeah.
So
I'm-
even with this higher rate environment,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. The numbers have to make sense, obviously, right? But that's part of like the job, right? Is to inform and run the numbers to see, hey,
mm-hmm.
does it make sense for you to continue renting for the next year, or does it make sense for you to make the sacrifices now to maybe start your journey now towards buying a home, right? Because we're
Right.
looking at this big picture, long term,
Yep.
right? So it's almost like we all know that with real estate, the sooner you start, the kind of better it is, because homes appreciate, especially here in Austin, right? So keep this, I guess framing the conversation that way so they can see that, because I know sometimes we're just so close to like what's in front of us that we don't really. What's that saying goes? You can't see the forest through the trees, something like that.
Right.
Right. So it's like that's
Right.
that's where we come in and try to help hopefully paint that picture so it makes sense, and you know that you're getting to something that you want to get into and it makes sense financially for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're in the weeds, you can't really.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. You need to step back and have somebody guide you through that, and yeah, that's what we love to do.
Mm.
$500,000 home here in Austin. Oh, I remembered. I was losing my mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
But appreciation here
Mm-hmm.
in Austin. So I removed the last 2 years because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, an outlier.
So we're still at 4%, 4% appreciation, which
Okay.
is not Silicon Valley, because Silicon Valley is somewhere around 9.5% year over year. If you look back for 10
But
years,
I would be surprised if we see a downward trend in the years to come with everything that's going on with California.
oh, right,
Mhm.
right. But here we're still at about 4% here in the Austin area, which is outstanding. That's great. It's stable. Of course, you'll have that 20% hike or spike from 2021, but again,
Yeah,
that's icing on the cake.
I think industry standard, right, is like anywhere between, I've seen like 4% to like 7% of like home appreciation year after year.
Mm-hmm.
And Austin, the last 2 years, that was just a crazy outlier where we just saw a huge jump because of just the economy, the demand, and people just leaving out, so many out of state people, right? So, but point being, like, if you look at that and you compare that to like what does it look like in the stock market, what does it look like in a savings account, right? You're still getting that return, and you're getting the tax benefits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like all of those things matter, not just the home appreciation. Plus, like, we've done a podcast on not just like the financial benefits, but the social benefits of being a homeowner too, right?
Right.
And hopefully, if you guys have watched this far, you can look in Luis's YouTube channel. We talked about the social benefits, and that's another aspect I like to talk about a lot too, because financial benefits are great, but there's so many social benefits that being a homeowner you get, and you don't. And we talked about this with the neighborhood and just kind of the community kind of feeling with everything. Yeah. So
and then the pride, just the simple pride of ownership.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Doing this whole thing is a freaking big deal. And you should be so proud, because it takes sacrifice to save up money. It takes sacrifice to know that you're going to be committed to like this amount for a long time, right? But it's a sacrifice that you get to actually see physically.
It's yours.
Yeah.
It's
I
yours.
think
It's your legacy. It's how you start your legacy.
Yeah.
Get your kids. That will depend on that.
Right? Yeah. Shelter is a basic need that everybody should have, right? And I know affordability and the lack of housing just across the nation is a big hot topic, and it's getting harder and harder. At least it feels that way, right? If you watch the news, is that your phone?
Yeah.
If you watch the news, that it just doesn't seem like there's any light at the end of this tunnel, right? And I implore you to not watch, or to not just take it with a grain of salt with the news, because they're saying all these crazy things because that's what drives people's attention when they say really outlandish things, very, very fear-mongering things. And we see this because we're in it every day, you and I, right? The real estate game, right? So we see the numbers, we see what the activity is like, and we see that, hey, what they're saying on the news is just one small little piece of the big puzzle.
Yeah.
Right? So get with your local real estate people and folks and talk about this in person, right? And get their opinion on things before you just blindly give all your trust to the news outlets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're there to get the views. They're not there to provide so much information.
Yeah.
It's clickbait. That's it. The more viewers they have, the more money.
It's unfortunate, but that's what they need to do now to kind of drive, because we all know the news numbers are getting less and less and less, right? Because social media is just taking off, and people are getting more of their content and their news from TikTok, social media. I know there's a few people I follow on TikTok that report the news and the news that I want to see, not just what they what they're trying, whoever they're trying to appease, but actual news and current events. And I just love the way that they present their style, right? So and they see that, and they're seeing the downward trend of less and less people, viewership, and social media, especially TikTok, taking off. So we're on TikTok, but we kind of are focusing on this podcast and YouTube. So look for us, and you'll find us. You'll find us. We're trying to be everywhere, but it takes time to build this stuff.
Yes, it sure does. Yeah. It sure does. So let me see. What else do we have on here, Omar? So bad guidance from realtors on the VA loan, not because they want to, but that's not their intent to give bad advice on the part of the realtors. Sometimes they just don't know, or they've heard horror stories where they worked with lenders that didn't specialize in VA home loans, where they had 90-day close of escrows, or things fell apart. And there's a lot of things to look out for up front before you even write an offer. For instance, Section 1 clearance, things of that nature. So again, realtors tend to shy away from those, say, oh, no, just go FHA or go in another direction. And that's unfortunate because that, again, discourages veterans from using their VA home loan benefit. And they learn to trust that realtor, and they should trust the realtor. So, again, it's not the realtor's bad. It's just that it's their perspective. It's their point of view. It's their experiences that, create that advice.
I also feel that sometimes we don't, as a realtor, don't want to look stupid or say, I don't know to our clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even when, in fact, we do not know. And I'll give you an example of this, especially kind of tying it back to the Marine Corps. So I remember when I was preparing for a board, right? I think it was for like meritorious lance corporal. As I was preparing for it, they would say like, hey, if they ask you something and you don't know, you say, I don't know at this time, sir, but I will find out for you, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I still carry on to this day because that was so ingrained in me. And that's something that we as real estate agents, if we don't know, say that, because we can't. Why would you expect anybody to know everything about?
Yeah.
You don't, right?
Yeah.
And it's better if you're honest about it. Be like, I don't know, but I'll find out. Rather than just say something just to respond in the moment, and then maybe misguide them or mislead them the wrong way when they have a better. The VA loan is a better option, right? So, I wish that happened more. It's very hard to say I don't know. You have to be pretty, I would say, confident in saying that and saying it with confidence, right? I don't know, but hey, I'm gonna find out for you, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It doesn't happen enough, I think, in my industry. And it's not, but I think that's another thing that we need that the education part, right? Hey, I don't know, but let me go find out, right?
Hey, pull out a lifeline.
Yeah.
Hey, can I call somebody?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Remember that game? What was the name of that show?
Oh, yeah, the Lifeline thing. Is it Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah. Who wants to be a millionaire?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey,
can I call somebody?
Yeah. Hey, that's even better. Like, I don't think I should know everything, but I should know how to get the answers.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're just a phone call away, that's just as good as knowing because you're getting the answer fairly quickly anyway, right? Yeah. And you're getting it from the source because typically, I would call someone like you to get an affirmative answer because I know that's what you do, and I know you know that, right?
Yeah.
I take it a point to learn as much as I can from my mortgage lenders. That way, I could be a source of good knowledge too. But hey, sometimes they say I don't know, and then to go find out. Especially if they're a veteran. I think there's maybe a very few instances where it wouldn't make sense to use a VA loan. Right. But it's all dependent on that, the situation. Right.
Right.
So I think, that's the education part. I think they were talking about with other real estate agents. If they don't do that all the time. Right.
It's, we're not expecting realtors to understand it, but they should help educate. And by that, they should reach out, have a VA loan or a VA lender partner like ready to go, and be there to answer all of these questions.
Yeah, and that'd be helpful. I mean, just think of it from the real estate point of view. Like, think of how much you would unburden yourself if you would just call somebody and just get that lifeline instead of being expected to know everything, right? Or just to think you need to have an answer for everything. That's kind of like that's a lot of pressure for anyone to hold on themselves.
Agree. No, I like to use the word I concur. Remember that movie? Catch Me If You Can.
Well, I remember that movie, and I remember you saying that a lot in our last podcast. My friend actually made a note of that. He's like, your friend was saying I concurred a lot. I'm like, yeah, it's from the movie. And
I concur.
Yeah.
Hey, that was you speaking like an old man.
We were talking about a lot of
that was a.
What were we talking about? We were talking about a lot of studies. So I know the language is a little bit dry.
That was a fun. Oh, that was us moving to Austin. Our experience. Part 2. We got to get a part 3. Yeah.
Yeah. We can build off of that one episode. There's so many aspects to it.
Yep. All right. So we're coming up on our 30. Actually, we're coming up on 35 minutes. So
let's wrap it up. That's
time flies. Let's wrap it up. Any parting words?
Hey, we are going to continue doing this, whether you're not watching it or
of
not.
Of course, they're watching it.
Well, I know in the beginning,
everybody's
I've been doing
watching
content long enough where it's no one kind of watched you in the beginning, which is fine. I think that's like that's like for us, to me, I see it as like, like your initiation, just like in boot camp, right? It's not going to be easy in the beginning to get through this whole doing content creation stuff, right? And getting the word out there. But it's just not giving up.
Well,
and
right.
And continue and staying consistent and having the discipline to keep coming and doing this, right? Because right now I have to drive my happy butt here to do this podcast. It's almost about to be 9 in the evening. Right. So
it's just 9 o'clock. It's early. We're going to do part 2 right now.
Point being is that we're going to keep doing it and we enjoy doing it. So just stay tuned.
Yep. And again, the intent, that's what we need to focus on, because with the right intent, which is educating our fellow veterans, I'll be here till midnight, just talking about this.
Damn, that's some serious commitment.
I may bore the heck out of a lot of our fellow veterans, but nevertheless, my intent to provide this information is there, and that's really all that matters.
Not if you keep that music going. Before we started, we were bumping it. That's how we kind of get amped up, baby. That's how we get amped up before you guys.
A little house, deep house, just to kind of get in the groove.
That's
a little meditative.
I like it.
to calm the nerves. All right. With that, that's all we got. Peace out, Girl
Thank you.
Scout. Girl Scout cookies, yeah. Oh my God, we got like a bunch of them too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you put